Okay, so this video follows on from the What is a Map video that I made. That was one of the first ones you watched. So it's actually about understanding how different maps tell you different information about how the land is being used and what different things mean in that map. So this is a map screenshot from Google. You can see here that this is actually telling you different things with colour before it's telling you anything with words. Okay, so here, blue bits. This is kind of universal. Blue bits mean water. So there's Lake Gendera there. This is a pond that's actually on the entrance to Bruce. I don't know what that one is. So, but it's obviously just bits of water. Okay, so wherever you can see blue, it means water. This road here is yellow compared to the white of other roads. Main roads, what we call arterial roads in all cities, will be marked in maps in a different colour. That's to show you that that's a main road. The reason for that is that it indicates where it's easier to get to that road if you're trying to get across the city and things like that. So that's a main road, an arterial road. You can see here that the houses are all kind of grey in colour. Retail, Belconnen Mall, Jamison Centre, that's kind of a pale yellow. And then health facilities, you've got Calvary Hospital here, and this is actually a health facility at the University of Canberra. They're in pink. So the map is actually telling you information by using colour. So before you even look at the words, you can look at a map and actually start to see a lot of information before you even start looking at it in detail. This one's actually telling you where all the political borders are in the world. Now this map changes over time because political borders change over time. Russia up here used to be called the USSR, and it used to incorporate Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan down here. I know that because I actually went there when it was the USSR, and I actually went into these areas and it was still a part of the USSR. So these borders change over time. Now the colour in political borders, in political maps, doesn't matter. It's just each country will be a different colour, and it will choose a colour scheme to make sure that the country doesn't have any colour around it that's the same as its colour, which gets a bit tricky in Europe because Europe's got a lot of countries very close to each other, so it can be a little bit tricky up there. But you will see these in various colours. The ocean is always blue, but the countries themselves may be different colours. You can see Greenland and Antarctica here, they're white. They usually are in political maps because they're ice. Now, I want you to pay attention here to the size of these countries. So we've got Canada and the United States of America up here. Take a close look at that sort of size. Take a look at the size of Australia, the size of Africa. All right, because on the next map I'm showing you something different. Political maps aren't actually to scale. So this is actually a map from NASA. It's part of a conical series where they actually create a cone, so the sphere of the Earth, and then they try to cut it and open it up. So this is actually closer to scale. And you can see here that United States and Canada are a little bit smaller than they were on the political map. So we need to be conscious that when we're looking at a political map, it isn't to scale, it isn't representative necessarily of the size of the countries. So one of the ways I look at different countries is I think about different time zones. So Australia has 3 different time zones. Russia has 3 different time zones. So does the United States of America. So I think that we're all kind of the same width, but that means that, so that's how I think about it. So if I'm looking at a map and Australia is not the same width as the United States of America, then I know something's a little bit skewy in that map. So it's just another way of looking at those sorts of things. Now, remember in my first video I showed you a choropleth map where colours represented data? Well, this is exactly the same. Colours represent data, but unlike a choropleth map where it gets darker the more frequent something is, this is actually using just a straight out legend with different colours telling us different uses. So it's not a choropleth map, it's actually just a different type of map telling us information. And you can see here that the land use is for conservation, so that means that we protect it, it's a national park. So it's, we can't do anything with it, we can't grow anything on it. Here you can see the yellow is where we're grazing, so that means we've chopped down trees and planted some grass for cows and sheep to eat. And this grey is also grazing, but we actually haven't changed the landscape at all. So if you've ever been into some of the high areas in Queensland, you'll see it looks quite scrub-like, but there's still cattle grazing there, so there's cows. What's interesting, I think, in this map is the urban, which is the orange. You can see that on the scale of how we actually use land in Australia, we actually don't have a lot of people in cities, we have a lot of people in cities. We don't have a lot of land use for cities. So the cities themselves are quite small compared to all the agricultural use that we have for Australia, or the conservation. Now this map actually tells us who owns the land in Australia. So this is a different type of map again. Well, it's a similar type, but it's telling us different information because it's using different colours to tell us what's going on. So you can see here, tenure is a way of saying ownership. So who actually owns the land. And you can see here that leasehold, it means that it's owned by a farmer or a mining company or something like that. And you can see here, the conservation bit, if you remember, was through here. So this blue bit is freehold, but it's including the land that's held by traditional owners. So a few years ago, there was a Mabo case where traditional owners, the Indigenous people of Australia, were able to have native title, and so they now own this land. Technically, they own the land, but it means it's freehold. It means it's a part of their ownership. So, and that corresponds with the national parks. Crown land means it's owned by the government, and you can see here there's a lot of space that is owned by the government, but we actually own our own houses and things like that, but you don't, but then the government can do what they like with it, including making national parks. So that's that sort of process there, okay? So this was basically just to show you that different maps will again tell you different information. It's following up from that first video I made for you. And it's to make sure that you understand how different use of the land will be shown differently on different maps. And that when you look at a map, it will tell you a lot of information just through the colour use before you even get into the detail. I hope you found it useful.